Now, I mentioned on Saturday on the Transformer Slag podcast live stream that we were going to be having more images surfacing from the factories over the next couple of days because I saw 2 weeks ago a whole bunch of stuff, this one included, and it was just a matter of time before someone would post it publicly and then we could finally talk about it. I never want to be the one who puts the genie out of the bottle, so to speak. It's disrespectful to Hasbro. But when it's finally out there and someone decides to post it, there's not much more we could do but now just discuss it and talk about it. And let's talk about today Toy Accurate Voyager class Dinobot Beast Wars. Hasbro, they're really trying to make the best of the Beast Wars molds and seeing how many things they could really repaint out of these characters. The luck with Generation 1, because it being a near 40-year-long brand with e-hobby repaints and character repaints like the Seekers and the Datsun brothers and everything like that, you have a lot of different things you could repaint out of those characters. Beast Wars, unfortunately, it's kind of limited to the core character, maybe one alternate repaint that's another character, and maybe like a Fox Kids repaint or something like that. So you kind of have to lean on to the more obscure, and that's where the Toy Accurate Beast Wars repaints seem to be more of a thing. We're going to kind of cover that today with all the different history and what could potentially we see in the future. But today, let's talk about this Voyager class Toy Accurate 1995 Beast Wars Dinobot. Now, there's two images that have been kicking around. One is legitimately one of the factory leaks. The other one is a custom that has been circling around that people don't realize is a custom. I'm going to include both in the thumbnail. The custom is going to be on the right, and it'll say custom, and the one on the left will be the actual image. But what we have here is just a single image of the factory Dinobot in his 1995 Toy Accurate colors using the head sculpt that was used with the Grimlock repaint, which technically would be the Toy Accurate head sculpt of the original character. And it's sporting that pinkish hue that's almost like an uncooked chicken or turkey that the original toy also kind of had. The detailing, though, it is what it is. If you want to go with that kind of Dinobot and really steer away from what the show did, you're going to get that kind of weird color scheme. What's interesting to note is the lack of translucent plastic used for the orange areas. The original toy had used translucent plastic for the legs and the front of the crotch areas assembly. The choice to do that probably is more so a plastic quality reason. The ABS plastic that's been used with a lot of modern Transformer toys today is not that great and densely packed. As a result, when you do use clear plastic, for it to be somewhere that's a joint today would be kind of risky for the longevity of the toy without it breaking. So considering it's part of the transformation element and it's a little more finicky and ratchety, it's better to use a solid orange rather than a clear plastic. You could say, well, look at the original Dinobot toy. It used clear plastic, yeah, but it was also a different era. It was a more gummy kind of ABS that was used for those legs too. But at the same time, look at that Grimlock that was used not too long afterwards with the gold plastic. So better off to use something that's more solid, even if clear plastic would have been more accurate. Aside from that, I mean, the only questions is the rotor tail weapon going to have red paint put on the inside because the original Kingdom Dinobot didn't have that paint deco on the inside of the rotor blade? Is the sword just going to be a completely 100% pink from hilt to the end of the sword, just molded in that pink plastic like the original toy? Because the Dinobot one, the actual Kingdom one, had tons of paint deco on it. So I guess you could kind of take that paint deco and put it towards painting the inside of the rotor blade because you're not putting any of that paint budget onto the sword now. And here's something really interesting that no one has mentioned. The fingernails are painted. All the Dino fingernails are now painted white. The original Kingdom Dinobot didn't have that painted. The original 1995 Dinobot toy didn't have that painted. I guess it's just probably going, well, we have that extra budget now from the sword. We got to put that paint somewhere. And so let's paint those nails, make them white, even though it wouldn't be technically toy accurate by painting those nails completely. But sure, why not? Gives a little pop and a little something, and they could put it somewhere and you get a little more budget out of your figure. But it looks pretty good otherwise. Again, I dig it. I think it's cool. Again, it hits differently for me as opposed to maybe some other fans that didn't grow up on Beast Wars and stuff. Again, Beast Wars was high school for me, but I love Beast Wars to death. I bought all of those toys back in the day, and I just have a nostalgia for it. So it'll be definitely targeted at a market that grew up on that stuff, or was around when that stuff was brand new and the hottest Beast Transformers property. It saved the brand. I mean, let's be real. So that's pretty cool. But it does open up another conversation now. Are we going to be seeing more of these toy accurate color schemes? Because we've already seen a bunch already in the past, and we'll go over those. But let's just go through all the price points and everything. So like Core Class Rat Trap. So far, we have 2 repaints of them. We have the Kingdom one and then the Netflix version. Both of them don't really channel that of the original 1995 Rat toy, because the original 1995 Rat one, if you had to like explain what it would be, you'd have to give a red eye on the rat eye, give him more of that red kind of color scheme. That's gonna be orange. It was orange on his rat eye, and a kind of a darker brown plastic used for the joints of the robot mode, and put like a little bit of a tanned brown on the rump of the rat. I never heard you hear rump of a rat on the podcast. But that's all you'd have to do, really, and for a Core Class one. And I could see that being done. Core Class is an affordable price point. You know, you could probably put one more Rat Trap repaint out of that before you do the Pack Rat color scheme and everything else. Then you'll have 4 different repaints of that little Core Class, and that'll be worth their time and energy for engineering that toy. Deluxe Class Cheetor, you know, again, you already have the Netflix alternative. And Cheetor was one of those toys that its original one kind of got it right the first time, unless you want to go, okay, blue eyes, red eyes, green eyes, those variants that we got with the 1995 Beast Wars toy, 1997 green eye variant afterwards. It doesn't really make sense to do that one. I mean, you could argue, oh, take the Shadow Panther mutant head and put it on there and give it the green eyes or something. Yeah, you could force something out of it, but I don't think it's really necessary. And I feel that also, I think they're going to get their mileage out of that mold in a lot of ways. When you look at what it's been retooled out of, the tooling itself used with the more upsized stuff, whether it be the Tigatron afterwards for the Voyager class, or even if you want to argue even the Ravage version that we got, I think Cheetor really did what he needed to do from a budget standpoint. Black Arachnia, we got her toy colors. It's fantastic. I love it. Go get it. It's that buzzworthy Bumblebee multi-pack Worlds Collide. I think it's amazing. That's where that alternate head sculpt came from. It's super cool. Deluxe Class Air Razor, you know, do a face sculpt, you know, robot mode face sculpt that doesn't have the mouth on it, I guess, and maybe include her tail weapon this time, I guess, as opposed to like her little wrist launchers. And then maybe a slightly muted color scheme. She's going to be one of the more like stretching it kind of ones in a lot of ways. And she also comes from like 1997, where they started to kind of get their act together when it came to characters at that point. But we'll get into that later on with some other characters too. Scorponok, we've already discussed on the live stream. You know, he's going to be getting a toy. He's going to be getting a toy accurate one toy soon. It's going to be part of that new multi-pack through Buzzworthy Bumblebee. Looks very accurate, really great. Not much more I could say about that. If you want me to go into deep detail about it, check out the live stream just a couple days ago. Shadow Panther, dead on to his toy, but then again, he was a toy-only character to begin with, so there wasn't exactly a show that it had to emulate. It was going to emulate a toy from the get-go. Waspinator, you know, that's one of those cases where if you take the Deluxe Waspinator, if you want to do toy accurate, you're either removing paint and then just having a lot of gray areas as opposed to green painted areas. So it'd be a lot of gray here, gray there, which would be kind of boring. You know, we have that legacy, you know, Buzzsaw with that normal head, because Waspinator technically had the mutant head and Buzzsaw had the normal robot head. So you could say, oh, you could take the Buzzsaw head and put it on there and then take away less paint and then try to sell it to the audience. I don't know. I think that one's not needed. I don't think anyone's asking for a toy accurate Waspinator figure. The Voyager class Optimus Primal could be interesting if you do a toy accurate one. You could put the faceplate up now as opposed to down, which would be accurate to the original 96 Ultra class toy. You could give him an extra included accessory, which would come from Paleotrex. Use his head there, paint it all gray, include it as an accessory with it. That's one way that you could kind of emulate his mace weapon. Give a more simple looking kind of paint scheme on the face of the gorilla mode. You could maybe include that extra mutant head as a clip-on accessory, that ugly mutant head that they have. There's a few interesting ways you could go about that Optimus Primal, and then get another repaint out of it. Because again, he had the Netflix repaint, he had the Nemesis Primal repaint. Maybe at some point, maybe they'll do the Universe 1.0 repaint, which is Rasta Primal, as I like to call him, the brown color scheme. I'm pretty sure they could still get a few color decos out of him before it's said and done. Rhinox is another fun one. Voyager class Rhinox. I mean, that's something where the original Kingdom one had all that brown on it and is very show accurate. You could do that pinkish tan hue that the original Rhinox toy was, which was a very different color scheme, with the red eye on the Rhino head, and then give him that unique armored mutant head kind of face sculpt that he had. That'd be pretty cool. And then include an extra accessory. Just include that little tail weapon. So then he'll have his gun, his little chain gun of doom, and then his little tail weapon. And that'd be pretty cool. I dig that one. That one I could see you could kind of, it'd be different enough from the original that would justify it. Because at the end of the day, what do you do with a Rhinox? Will you do dark design colors with slight, silvery hits? There's not really much you could do with that. The Fox Kids repaint, that one you have to find something. And I think a toy accurate 1996 Rhinox could be something in the future, just because of what do you do with that mold. Then we have Tigatron. Tigatron, I mean, if you want toy accurate, you just make it the cream color that the original 1996 version was. And that's really about it. We got the mutant Tigatron through Amazon, and that gives us the prototype colors, which really is a good way to do it. I mean, give it the cream color scheme and then put the mutant head on that one, and then it's kind of box accurate, I guess. I don't know. The joke that everyone could say is, I mean, from what I'm reading online, Tigatron is yellowing anyways naturally due to fluorescent and everything. So I think give it a little bit of time, and you're going to have a toy accurate colored Tigatron anyways, and then just and then throw that Amazon mutant head Netflix version head on top of him, and there you go. Didn't have to buy anything really. Megatron is that one is now we're getting into the leader class. Megatron, that's one where that mysterious head that we saw that never got used, that teeth grinning, face sculpt that I thought always was going to be used for the T-Rex version, the Target exclusive, which never got used. We got the infamous Silver Lips one, as I like to call it. So, if they dig up that head sculpt and it still exists, put the silver hits on it to make it toy accurate, and then wash away all that paint deco on the body and just have it boring black, if anything, you're going to have the toy accurate 1996 Megatron, just get rid of the pupil on the dino head and just have a red eye, and that's it. Or maybe give him the bat helmet. I mean, you could kind of lean either way, but I get that head sculpt, the grinning, exists somewhere in the factory. So, I mean, that's probably the easier one to lean onto and just do that as opposed to the bat helmet. But that would be a leader class, and that would be an expensive kind of muted paint, boring leader class at the end of the day, and really only hardcore Beast Wars fans like me would probably be interested, but I think it would be something that would shell form otherwise. How many people would want a Megatron that's painted less in a lot of ways at the modern leader class price point that we have today? And then when we go outside of Kingdom, like we have that Pterosaur from the Golden Disc collection, confirmed we are going to be getting a Target exclusive toy accurate version. The images are on there. The uneducated toy reviewer, who doesn't need to be named, stole it from the factory, and we do know it exists and it will be happening. Legacy Tarantulas. No doubt that's going to happen. I talked about that on the live stream on Saturday. Do toy accurate colors. Maybe even take the Black Arachnia buzzworthy head sculpt, that alternate head, put it on the Tarantulas, and you could really emphasize what the original toy was, where he was a Predacon ninja with that ninja face, and then do the toy accurate color scheme. He actually has two toy accurate color schemes. In the commercials, he had one color scheme, which was just kind of like a test shot prototype, and then the actual toy itself had a different color scheme. So, you can lean on one or the other. For sure, they're going to do something with that, with Tarantulas. They're going to do like toy accurate. And then we have Inferno coming. So, I mean, Inferno came out in 1997. Like I said before, that's when they kind of the show toys were more show accurate now because there was more of a co-development happening with Mainframe and the TV series, which had already started development years prior. So by the time Inferno rolled around, and same thing with AirRaiser, there was much more of an accuracy baked in already. And by the time we get the Transmetals and stuff, I mean, it's minor details at best, a grinning Cheetor face or something. There's really not much you could take away too many times. But it is what it is. I think these are exciting, and I mean, hopefully we'll see some more of these from, again, the season 1 characters, because those were the ones that had those really unique kind of toy unique designs, let's put it this way, and toy unique color schemes. So we'll see what happens. But again, let me know what you think. Again, are you interested in this Dinobot? Are you a Beast Wars fan that grew up with Beast Wars or had Beast Wars in your life when it first came out in 95, 96, 97, 98, and 99? And you have a connection to this? Let me know what you think.